Hello, loves, it's me again. I got asked a very interesting question on how to find your patron, but at the same time, I was also asked to do an intro on demonology in general. But I'm gonna do how to find your patron completely separately, because this does not necessarily only apply to demons, and I always encourage people to look at the wide array of all possible entities and gods, because it doesn't matter. Like, they're all spirits, and it's better that you're aligned with the entity that you find, rather than getting locked into a very specific pantheon. I don't know how I'm gonna do an intro on demonology, considering that really it's just, it's not that special. I mean, it's almost a pagan faith, except with the less socially acceptable pantheon that is also a complete grab bag from all the other religions that a couple of specific religions managed to really demonize, a couple of names that came from absolutely nowhere, and then some beings that were always seen as demons all along. I can't even say that it's just like the grab bag where we put all of the negative entities, because there's plenty of chthonic gods that don't just like fall into it, so it's very, very random. First of all, it's an interesting thing to even like be searching for a patron. I wouldn't say that that's a good starting place for a practice in general. I say just start practicing witchcraft, start practicing the occult, reach out to different gods or demons based on what you want to do in your life at that point. And for the most part, you're gonna start seeing which ones kind of click with you or not. There is a bit of a point here where you can kind of come into this life already with a soul string to a specific entity or religion, in which case they're gonna materialize just when they have to, and you'll know. You'll just know. Maybe you'll see them in dreams, and you won't even know who you're looking at. Maybe you'll see them in your divinations, and you'll still have no idea whom you're looking at. Hi, me! And then at some point, maybe the lines or myths about them will just stand out to you enough that you'll just kind of end up clicking with it, and then you'll definitely know that, yeah, this is the way that I was always supposed to go, and this is just the path that was always there for me, and I know because I can sense it. If you want, you can do a quick divination of, do I have a tie to some sort of spirituality slash entity of any kind, in which case pendulum would work just fine, so would a deck of tarot cards. Anything that you can divine with, dice would work, candle flame would work, literally anything you can divine with, as long as you can trust your divination skills. So don't make this like the first thing that you ask the item, but if you're kind of comfortable with the item, then just go ahead and throw that question out. If you end up if you end up being connected to something, you can then start just reaching out to the universe through meditations, going, hi, whoever I'm connected to, can you like come down and interact with me? And if there's like complete silence to that request, then just trust that they're gonna appear at a later date when the timing is right. Chances are you might just cause some paranormal dreams for yourself, in which case you can start unraveling that thing. Now, in case you don't have a connection to absolutely anything, just grab all the pantheons. Like, grab a book that has a lot of names. Like, grab all the religions and just start going through them and see what instinctively clicks with you and what doesn't. Like, oh, that's a very interesting name. I wonder why am I interested in that name in particular. Then you can go ahead and read some myths and go, oh, that really clicks with me. I really like this myth. And every single time when you have that kind of thing of just hey, I am very much pulled to this, write it down somewhere. If that list gets long, then your search it will take a while, but considering that you're looking for a being that should be with you for the rest of your life, that search is kind of worth it, and it should take a while. So when you have all of that bucket of names, just, I don't know, a book full of them. You don't need to write like a literal book, but I mean, have a notebook and have at least a page. Rather have something on the page. I don't give a shit if it's one name or three. If it's one name, it's actually very, very easy. Or if it's 200, it's completely up to you and completely up to you to what clicks with you. Get into a meditation. I don't care you're trying to reach God, angel, demon, or Jesus. Just sit down, get into that state where you're completely calm and you're sort of out of it. Like you have been daydreaming at school and completely forgot what hour it is or what you were thinking. So it's a very interesting place where you're just like a frog outside the pond, not actually knowing what the heck is going on. It's a bit of an empty head sort of location. And take one name and just try to reach for them. Like, really visualize the name, perhaps have anything that you attribute to that name. Maybe it's a color, maybe it's like a drawing of a person, maybe it is a myth. Just take that and really, really pull towards it. Like it's somewhere in the sky and you really want to reach it. Like you're just casting this mental lasso to try and pull it down. And just spend some time with that concentration and see if anything comes through. Do you feel anything different in your environment? Do you feel different at all? Do you feel like there's electricity in there? Maybe some heaviness? Maybe there's suddenly wind? Maybe you kind of physically feel really hot? Any like significant change in how you feel, you should take that as a sign that there is a presence and evaluate how you feel. Because if your feeling is like really disagreeing with you, like you're suddenly getting an intense sense of nausea, that wouldn't be nice. Or just getting a really sharp headache, in which case you would thank the entity for coming and wave them on their way and cross that name out, because it obviously energetically highly disagrees with you. If it doesn't, and you sense something, just put out the intention there of, hey, I feel pulled to you. Do you think we can maybe, work together? Maybe I could meditate with you, light you a couple of candles. Maybe, I could ask my conundrums towards you, or I could ask something more abstract, like what is that I should definitely know currently on my spiritual path, and you can maybe deliver this answer to me in dreams or signs. If you can't sense anything, it's worth just putting that sentence out regardless, in case it's your complete inability to feel the things around you, and maybe something was indeed there. And then once again, you thank the entity for coming, and you tell them that you're now gonna be politely closing this ritual and are gonna go away. And just see what answers how it agrees with you. Try working with those entities, see how it goes. Don't rush anywhere, just actually take years. Take years. And eventually, you'll either reach a point where you're absolutely stable at working with several of them, in which case you should probably take neither as your patron, because you would be kind of elevating one above the other. If that doesn't feel right to do, don't do it. Or you'll arrive at a point where one of them just like really clicks with you and you absolutely know. And when you absolutely know, you can actually say, hey, can I take you as my patron? And patron is effectively your main god, at least for the lifetime. So it is a big commitment because you're not going to be jumping away from it, but at the same time, it's not quite the same as selling all autonomy of yourself to an entity. You're not like, hey, here's my free will and do whatever you want with me. Instead, you're like, hey, I really like you. Can we work together at least for this lifetime and see where it goes? That sort of thing. Now, if you're afraid of any imposter spirits entering your meditations and not being answered by the right one, a thing to do beforehand would be a protective circle, which can be physical or it can be entirely mental. If it's physical, it's easier to keep track. So just grab some chalk or, I don't know, a round rug and sit down in it and just go, nobody can enter this barrier around me except for me and the entity that I'm trying to call. If you cannot have a physical circle around yourself, you can just imagine a mental circle, just like nice, either light falling around you like you would be sitting in a spotlight, or you can literally imagine just drawing a mental circle around yourself like you would do with a chalk, except that you don't have chalk and you don't have it physically. It's kind of a bit more taxing on your brain cogs because you have to actually like imagine a circle instead of there just physically being one. Hence why physical tools are easier. But if you can't have them, you can't have them. And that is a pretty good form of protection against any imposter spirits. If the entity that you're calling has a sigil or a sign like associated with them, another thing that you can do is go, hey, if it's really you, show me that sign, and just close your eyes and see if you can get any kind of mental image, as if you're imagining it yourself, but you're not. And if that sign is like off significantly, then it's probably not the right entity. You also want to kind of look out for anything that seems too good to be true. Like if you're suddenly starting to get dreams with Zeus offering you all the riches in the world and all the fame, that's probably not Zeus. Just saying, oftentimes you're not just gonna get offered like something really insanely good. If something is offering you something very insanely good, that probably means that that's not the entity, but some sort of small imposter spirit just kind of trying to get you to follow them and to give them attention instead, which would just kind of be a waste of time, really. And that's that. There's nothing very special about it. It's not a complicated process. It's a thing that you just kind of know. And if it comes from a string from another lifetime, then you will definitely know. And you will definitely know just when you need to know. And if it's something that you're establishing quite specifically in this one, then take your time with it. Go through a whole bunch of spiritual practices because it's a big commitment, okay? it's like making that dedication of I'm definitely sticking with this for as long as I live. And considering that a lot of people like switch their gods every couple of years, or they will have multiples that just operate at about the same level for them, it's not something that you need to ever do. It's something that you can do if you absolutely, in your heart of hearts, know that that's the right thing to do. So there you go. That has been a breakdown on how to get a patron in witchcraft in general, I suppose. Because once again, I don't just attribute this to demonology. I don't draw that line. It's what you can do with any pantheon and any entity, and you might have better results if you just keep your mind open and just go through all of the pantheons and see if anything like really pulls you, because it's that attraction that you should react to, not necessarily the pantheon. And yes, you can mix different pantheons. You can, if you like God of Death from one religion, God of Death from another religion, you can try both. The sky won't fall. I mean, there could be some sort of really non-spiritual teenager that will tell you that you're a piece of shit for appropriating somebody's culture. But other than that, that's kind of the only consequence that you can actually have from there, because spirits honestly don't give a shit. So thank you for watching. If you need me to make a video on anything else, just ask. I hope that it has been informative for you, and I hope that it has been useful. Toodaloo.